Salutations, dear viewers. I'm outside number 1 London, or Apsley House as it's sometimes called. I'm going to move to another angle where it's not quite so noisy. Anyway, it was called number 1 London because if anyone was coming in from the west, that away, this was considered to be the first house that was properly in London, not that village of Kensington, which is a couple of miles to the west. And there was a toll gate there because until well into the 19th century, most roads were privately owned, and the companies that built and maintained them charged people to use them. So people could walk along them for free, but anyone who was riding, or indeed in a horse-drawn carriage or with a wagon full of goods, had to pay. There were toll gates every so often, and so wealthy people would have one of their footmen jump off the horse-drawn carriage and run forward to pay the toll and have the gate opened in time so that the car did not have to stop. Often they used to say car to mean carriage. If you read The Eve of Waterloo by Byron, he uses the word car in relation to horse-drawn carriage. That's why in the early 20th century we used to say motor car to distinguish. Anyway, Apsley House, it was owned by the Duke of Wellington, and well, still is actually owned by his family. And over this side, you can't see the flag from this angle, unfortunately. Have to go further back. So the Duke of Wellington, as you may know, was an Irishman, and he went to school in Dublin on Grafton Street, latterly Eton, only for a year. There's that apocryphal phrase that the Battle of Waterloo was one of the playing fields of Eton. He didn't like Eton. He then went to school in France, ironically, where he was described as un gentilhomme d'Irlande. Later, people claim that he said he wasn't Irish. If a horse is born in a donkey stable, does that make it a donkey, and so on? Again, that is disputed. He may never have said that. There you can see the flag, the standard of the Wellington family. So it's Arthur Wellesley. Actually, that wasn't their real surname. They changed it from Colley some generations before. He's a distant relative of George Colley, a Fine Gael politician in the mid-20th century. So he served in India. That's Arthur Wellesley, later Duke of Wellington. His brother, his elder brother, was the Governor General of India at the time. He won the Battle of Seringapatam against Tipu Sultan. And some of the British said that Tipu Sultan must have been a Jacobin, as in a French revolutionary, because he was an ally of the French. Really had nothing to do with ideology, it was just power politics. Then Wellington fought in the Peninsular War. That's in Portugal and Spain against the French, who had conquered Spain. Napoleon put his elder brother Joseph on the throne of Spain. That was that, and Napoleon was defeated in 1814, as you may know. Then he made a comeback in 1815, landing at Golfe Juan in southern France for his 100 days, and he went down to his Waterloo, just south of Brussels, where the Duke of Wellington defeated him. As he said, it was a damn close run thing. That's Duke of Wellington's words. The only thing worse than the battle won is a battle lost, because so many tens of thousands of people have been killed there. Anyway, a grateful nation gave him this house in London, paid for it to be built. You can see it's in this sandstone, and in there are lots of trophies from the battle, pieces of furniture which belonged to Napoleon, a Waterloo dinner set and things like that. It's open to the public, you can see it. So the Wellington family lived in there until after the Second World War. Then death duties and so on meant they felt financially obliged to loan it to the nation. They still occupy a top floor. Occasionally you see children playing in the back garden of that family. So the courtesy title of the Marquis of Douro, as in the Duke of Wellington's eldest son is the Marquis of Douro. So that title, Duke of Wellington, passes down from father to son to the eldest son. And the son who's waiting to succeed is the Marquis of Douro, and the grandson of the current Duke has the title Earl of Mornington. Now, what else should I point out? The Duke of Wellington, the first one, the most illustrious one, he was also Prime Minister, which not a lot of people know, in around about 1830, and he was a bit of a reactionary. He was against the Great Reform Act, became known as the Iron Duke. People think that's because of his steely resolve, but no, he was so detested by radicals and reformers, he had to put iron shutters on his windows so the glass wasn't smashed. These were very unruly times. 1832, the Great Reform Act. Many people think there would have been a revolution if many of the middle class had not been granted the vote. The working class was still largely excluded from the franchise. So well worth visiting. Here it's Apsley House, right at Hyde Park Corner. Not to be confused with Marble Arch, which is about a mile away. That's enough from number 1 London.